Your fingerprint is your own identity. Let's take some simple examples to understand this. Your phone has a fingerprint sensor so that it can easily recognize you. No one can unlock your phone if they don't know your password. Only you can unlock your phone with your fingertip. Also in your workplace, the fingerprint scanner can recognize you because of your unique fingerprint. The fingerprint scanners are installed in many places for security purpose. Fingerprint identification also helps investigators to track criminals' record. People's fingerprint can be on paper and file for a variety of reasons. But why do we use fingerprints for identification? Because they are unique. Nobody has the same fingerprints you do. No two people have been found with the same fingerprints. The fingerprints are also different for each and every finger of our own hand. Now, what makes them unique? The number and the arrangement of ridges on your fingers are responsible for your unique fingerprints. And the ridge arrangement on each and every finger of each and every human being is unique. The ridge ending and bifurcations are called minutiae. The number and the locations of these minutiae vary from finger to finger for an individual, and it vary from person to person for any particular finger. So the impression of your fingertip on any surface is your fingerprint, and this is completely unique. There is a 1 in 64 billion chance that your fingerprints will be exactly the same with someone else. Isn't it an amazing fact? How the ridges are formed. During the development of fingers, thick pads are formed on the surface of the palm and on the soles of the feet of the fetus at around 7 to 8 weeks of pregnancy. These thick pads of skin are called whorl pads that are formed by a type of swelled stem cell tissue called mesenchyme. After the formation of these whorl pads, now it starts to change in size and position and remains swelled and rounded for some time till 11 to 12 weeks of gestation. After that, they slowly start to disappear, and during the same time, fingerprints are developed. Now the position and state of the whorl pads decide the patterns on your fingers. Arch, loop and whorl. These are three basic fingerprint patterns. If the whorl pads remain prominent and flat, then the circular or spiral fingerprint patterns are formed or whorls are formed. There are three subgroups of whorls: plain whorl, central pocket loop whorl and accidental whorl. The receding whorl pads are slanted to one side when the first ridges are formed. Then the pattern will also be slanted and form the fingerprint pattern loop. There are three subcategories of loops: radial loops, ulnar loops and double loops. When the whorl pads have almost disappeared, then a web-like patterns are formed called arches. There are two subtypes of arch patterns: plain arch and tainted arch. The most common fingerprint pattern is loop, and the rarest pattern is arch. Recent studies suggest that both genetical and environmental factors play an important role to form the patterns. The patterns are formed in the womb when the fetus is only 3 inches long. The formation of the pattern starts at about 10th of week of conception. Genetic code of the fetus does not completely decide the exact patterns on the fingertips, but they normally decide the factors that are responsible for making fingerprint patterns. Our skin has three main layers: the outer layer or upper layer of epidermis, the inner dermis, and the middle layer or the basal layer of epidermis in between. In the fetus, the sandwiched middle layer grows faster than the upper layer and the inner layer, and it crumples in specific ways to form specific patterns on our each and every fingertips. So, as a result, we get unique fingerprints. Your fingerprints stay the same from the time you are born until death. But the pattern may become less prominent in case of older people because the skin loses its elasticity with age. Why do identical twins have different fingerprint patterns? Although this is not completely clear, but according to the researchers, in case of the identical twins, the different fingerprint patterns are developed because of the position and movement of the fetus in the womb during the formation of the ridges on the fingertips, and it also depends on the density of amniotic fluid. Scientists also found that on any object touched by an individual, there are special kind of bacteria. And these kind of bacteria are present within each fingerprint. And these can live for several weeks. The interesting fact is that if we can analyze their DNA, we can identify that particular person.